Hey everybody, John Hiley here, coming to you today with an advanced bodyline tutorial. Not only an advanced bodyline, but this is actually on the rear of a Suburban on a quarter panel. Very tough access. I want to show you guys too, later on in the tutorial, I discover that there is quite a deep crease that's underneath a scuff that runs all the way the length of the panel. And we'll get back to this a little bit later on. First things first, we're actually going to start on the body line that's, really the main part of the repair. So you can see here the body line has just dented in so much that it bowed out a crown back there, and it goes all the way into the front edge down there to the very bottom. Again, these specific quarter panels are very tough to gain access to, but while I was in the pursuit of repairing this, I actually found a very cool pushing access point that I'm going to be sharing with you guys in this tutorial. Now to start this off, I'm going to start off with a little bit of glue pulling. You can see I've actually dropped the center stem of that tab just to the top of that body line, and what I'm trying to do is just make this thing do the heavy lifting like it just did. So you actually see it there reshape the body line after a couple decent slide hammer pulls. Go ahead and get the tab cleaned off here and take a look. See what we've came up with here. What we've actually done here is shaped up the body line. Now, not all the way. There's definitely still a little low that's piercing through it. But again, we actually just kind of let this glue tab do all the heavy lifting for us. Right off the rip, we went for that body line. So we'll go ahead and start working on some of these creases that are running through this. What we're seeing here really is, probably maybe a 30-inch crease that runs from the front of the wheel well all the way through the gas cap, all the way to the rear tail light. Starting off here with a mini lifter. Just going to see how that does for us. These are the new Black Plague. I think they call these the gangrene tabs. They're a lot like the Black Plague ones, the original ones. But these ones actually are the 2.0 version that have the it's like a insert inside of the neck that keeps the tab from breaking as often, which is very, very nice. You can see here that I'm actually using the robo lifter. I'm kind of tightening up. You are going to have to do some adjustments if you're going to pull with them Black Plague crease tabs and then switch out to an Atlas or a traditional Black Plague tab. It definitely causes a little bit different in height there as far as the pull goes. So I'm actually using some Atlas Titans right now, and I'm kind of going around and basically pinpointing all the circles that are in this dent and dropping the tab in the center of that circle and pulling it up. Now back to a crease tab. That's my general principle. If I see something that looks like a line, I'm going to drop a crease tab into it. If while pulling it with a crease tab, maybe one side or the other may pull into a circle, I will drop a circular tab into it. So you can see there I'm showing you right there that I'm actually going across into the line. Very nice pull there. Switched out with a slide hammer. Slide hammers are great on the convex that we're pulling on right there. You can see that it pulled a peak right where the center of the stem was, where I hooked up on the tab. It's always going to be the most powerful pull point. So I figure, hey, while we got it up, we might as well try to snug up the little low that's next to that body line. Yeah, you see the crease running all the way through there? Yeah, I got a little bit of a low right up there as well. The low that's above that glue tab, we're going to be fighting that to the very end. So for whatever reason, I just keep on shaking and moving past it. And we are going to take a pull on it right now, but it just doesn't really finish out till the end of this repair. There we go. Good place to use a robo lifter. I'll tell you, these this Keko lifter here is very nice. I mean, the feet tend to flex around just about any surface. Some of you guys may remember I've had a tutorial out here a few months ago, glue pulling on moldings. And I was having a tough time getting my original Dent Gear mini lifter around some chrome moldings that are on the side of cars. And I'll tell you, this Robo Lifter has been amazing for that process alone. So now we're going into another crease pull here. A little rinse and repeat. So typically, the reason why I'm doing this glue pulling is I just want to keep this dent as clean as possible, even though, I mean, it's a deep, nasty dent. There's going to be times in this repair where I'm looking at it like, wow, you know, it almost starts to go a little wild on you. Anytime you got something really deep and really bad, I mean, there's a level where you look at it and you're like, gosh, what did I get myself into? But, you know, I tell you guys, I've done it time and time again. You just keep on pushing through. You keep on making strives to make it look cleaner and cleaner, and eventually it will start turning around, and you'll say, whoa, well, that doesn't look too bad. And little by little, you'll get yourself out of anything you've gotten yourself into. So now you can kind of see our progress there. Basically got a crown right there that I'm just going to try to get rid of, and I've actually sped up a lot of this knockdown work. So, you know, the way I look at it here, guys, you guys are watching an advanced tutorial. If you're at this level, you should be able to knock down a crown like this. So we're going to slow it down a little bit. And if you're not, go back into some of the earlier tutorials, and you know, it'll work with you and kind of shape up your knockdown work. So there you go, just working around, opening up, relieving pressure. You know, and during this knockdown work, I think is where it kind of gets the worst. I mean, you're starting to relieve pressure. It's like any little tap that you leave on this thing, it tends to leave a little miniature dot. And but that's okay. I mean, it's very stressed. It's very, you know, the panel has been pushed in quite deep, and you got to expect a little bit of resistance with the knockdown work. But we're going to have a tool in there eventually, and we're going to be able to essentially take our tool and put it on every single little low and ripple and push it up. You see, guys, I'm actually going towards that very edge. You can see that it bow tied the center right there. I mean, that wasn't even really the best pull, but it still brought the center up, and that's what I'm looking for. You know, I'm just looking for movement in the right direction. You know, if it's going in the wrong direction, that's when we have problems. But you can see here, that is just a deep crease running through here. But it's going up. It's coming up. So again, just placing a crease tab right next to the crease that we had just pulled. Definitely bow tied that spot as well. Still got some little lows. Here's a little bit of knockdown work. I love using this soft tip in these situations. I mean, when we're still in the rough, when we're still trying to get the general shape of the panel back, I mean, the soft tip's perfect. I mean, we're not at that level of doing fine definition work. Actually swapping out the soft tip a little bit, and that's a blunt tip, so that's not a sharp knockdown whatsoever. It's definitely shaved down where it's got a nice wide hit. There we go, hooking up with the slide hammer there. You know, sometimes I want to shock, other times I want to pull. So when you guys see me bounce back and forth and you're kind of wondering, like, what's he doing? Why is he going to a slide hammer now and then to a mini lifter and then back to a slide hammer, is because there's some areas, and you're going to have to get to know your dent, because there's some areas that will respond better with a shock. And then there's other areas that will respond better with a controlled pull. So a lot of times, if you got a spot where you just want to just move it a little bit, you know, you just want a little bit of a movement, you might want to go in and use the control of a mini lifter. If you got a little deep pocket like this one that I'm on right now, that little deep pocket, you might want to take that slide hammer, hook it up, and shock it. Basically giving it a quick jab to try to take the center of that damage and flip it out inside out into a little high spot. I mean, even that big pull that I just got right there with that Atlas tab, I mean, it still didn't get the center out perfect. But it's okay. We're just moving through this. With glue pulling, with a dent like this, I like to just get the general shape back. I mean, I know that I'm going to be pushing it out. I've got some beautiful access to share with you guys on this tutorial. I'll tell you what, this little miniature Black Plague crease tab that I just dropped on here, these things hit hard. I don't know if you guys have these in your toolbox. They're awesome. If you don't have them, you should have some. I mean, look at this. I can't even get this thing off of the panel. Look at that. You can just tell that the metal erupted like underneath underneath the crease tab. But look at that. I mean, that literally flipped out, flipped the deepest part of that pit into essentially a high spot. Now, is it fully gone? No, it's not fully gone. But it's well on its way. It's all you can ask for, as long as you're going in the right direction. And just like a lot of things, sometimes it's got to look a little bit worse before it gets better. So, you get into some, you guys who do nasty dents, or you guys who are getting into some nasty dents, be ready for some challenges. I mean, this is like a giant puzzle. And, it's going to have you scratching your head a little bit, but you step back, you think it through, you go back to your fundamentals. I mean, that's the key, is your fundamentals. You go back to them, and you just keep on pushing forward. Sometimes the first ones that you do, some of these big, nasty dents may take 2 days, 3 days. I don't care how long it takes. You push your way through these big, nasty dents, and they will be your best teacher. They will make you so much better. So here's that shot we seen at the beginning, guys. I go to buff off this scratch, this wide scuff, and I see, wow, there is a massive dent underneath here. So this is going to be part of the tutorial as well. All right, guys, so one of the great things about having the damage go through the gas cap is that I'm going to be able to do a gas cap tutorial. So I'm definitely excited about that. It's something that I've been wanting to add. So you can see here, we're just following the same rinse and repeat protocol here. We are just going to take our crease tabs and keep working them down the crease line. Again, with the intention of the glue pulling doing the heavy lifting for us. Basically turning something that's a deep crease into a shallow, easy crease to push out. There's no reason to finish the crease here with glue pulling when we know that we're going to have a tool in there and we're going to push on it. Got to be smart with your time. So there we go, taking the glue pull right up there on the edge. Can't get a tool there though, right there where I took that glue pull. So, but that was a great glue pull. I want to say that I may have glue pulled it again, but most of it came out with that pull. So now you can see here that we're going into the gas cap. Be very, very careful when you glue pull on these. I mean, if you have any sign whatsoever that this tab is over pulling that gas cap, you're just going to have to back off of it and take the tab off. Right here, I didn't feel that. I didn't feel that in the pressure of the the pressure that I felt through the handle of the mini lifter. But let's go ahead and take a look at it. Definitely not too bad. It was not a perfect pull, but it did get us going in the right direction, and I can work with it. Now, one of the things that you're going to find when you go to knock down a gas cap, there's a few things that can happen. Here, we got one that just ejects when you push down on it, and I finally just gave up after a few hits. It's going to eject, and I'm just going to tap it down while it's kind of bouncing around there, okay? Another thing that you run into is the ones that lock. Them are a little bit easier, but you're still going to have that bouncing that goes on just because it's, you can kind of push them things up and down. They do have a little bit of flexibility, so it takes a little bit of time to get used to, but, Hey, you're at advanced level right here. You're watching an advanced tutorial, so that's what this is for. And hopefully you can learn something from what I'm doing here. As you can see here, moving forward, and we still see a little bit of a trailer of the crease there where we just pulled, but we're going to go towards the deepest one now, back to the back of the frame here. And you can see that I dropped that on there. Was not happy with that placement. Let me show you guys why. After you place it, you can look down, and if the edge of your tab is not in line with that crease line, you know that you placed it wrong. So when I placed that tab, I did not put it into the crease perfectly. It was actually a little bit low. So maybe the front side of it was in there, but it was coming down at the wrong angle. So we went ahead and I seen that real quick. And this is something that I do quite often. If I make a bad placement, I'm not going to force myself to take a pull. Going to try that again. And you can literally, just looking at that from the front side where I'm standing right there, I can look and see if that's a good placement. So you can see there, went ahead and took my pull, and yes, indeed it was. Very, very good placement there. You can see I basically took the crease line and flipped it inside out. If we wouldn't have got that good of a placement, then it would have been a little bit low up above the end of that line there. Definitely do not want that. If at all possible, we try to make the best pulls. But now look at this. I'm only putting half the amount of glue on there. So if you can see there, I'm not taking the glue all the way to the end. I actually put enough glue in there to cover the area that I wanted to pull. So you can see here, I'm going to take a shot of this. That is how far my glue is on this tab, because that is the size of the pull that I want. I want you guys to start thinking about this stuff. Look, you don't have to, look, there's no rules when it comes to this stuff like that. I mean, you do not have to fill that tab from end to end, but look at this beautiful pull that it's taken. And I stopped right there. I said, you know what? That's enough. I could feel through the handle of that lifter that that was enough. And here's another advantage. Look how you can slide a window wedge right underneath there, and bam, you can get your crease tab right off. So 2 advantages to that technique. You can see here, pretty good pull right there. Pretty good pull, and the exact size of the amount of glue that I put on the tab. This is just another example. I want you guys to start thinking out of the box. And, I'm sure you do already, but hey, for anybody who did not know this, hopefully that will help you out on one of your jobs that you have in the future. Again, doing some heavy lifting with this crease on the back, because we are getting really, really close to going in and doing a little bit of tool work. And I'm excited about this because I have found an excellent access point for you guys out there working these Suburbans. Anybody who's worked on these knows you can't get in through that tail light. So it's double paneled up through there. You cannot get in through the door jamb. So anybody who tries to drill a hole in the door jamb, you're basically drilling it for nothing. And there's only a few ways into this, and one of the ways involves pulling out the interior, which is quite the job, especially for a guy like me who does not enjoy R&I. In fact, I try to avoid it like the plague. So there you go. You can see here that definitely pulled it up decently, and going to have to do a few more pulls on that, but you know what? We're moving in the right direction. Let's get going. So I do not have to have any part of this dent perfect. I do that when I finish the dent. I like to get things done, and that's what we're doing right here. We're moving the metal in the right direction. We're getting things done. We're filling the progress. So I went ahead and pulled out the plastic wheel well here. So I'm down here, feeling underneath the bumper. I say, whoa, look at these giant plastic plugs. And I use both of them. So that one way back there in the back is used for getting a tool way down there deep into the edge. And the one that's up front, I kind of use for the body line, a little bit more direct leverage. But end up using both of these plugs. Amazing access. I mean, you can literally take a rod and shove it clear up to the top of that quarter panel up there by the glass from this access point. And I'm going to tell you guys who are afraid of pulling the bumper off, things like that, look, it's easy. I mean, this is a very easy bumper to pull. Literally, you got some screws right up here. Okay, that's it. You got them right up here. You got two of them right here. And you got another one on this side right over here. And then to come around here, literally 3 screws and a plug, or like a Christmas tree style retainer clip. Now on this side without the gas cap, you do have 1 hole. So just a heads up on that. I want to show that as well. For whatever reason, they gave 2 holes on this side, and we're going to take all kinds of advantage of this beautiful access. Not only does it put me in a position to push so well from this point, it just puts me in a visual position that's awesome. I mean, I'm looking through the barrel of this body line. I mean, I'm looking right through it, which is where you have to be to fix a body line to the point to where it's perfect or near perfect. Just wonderful pushing right here. I mean, I couldn't have asked for better access on this one. You know, here's the thing, guys. If you guys actually see, there's a couple little dots in there. We think that this had been painted, or we contemplated this because the panel did not look bad anywhere else except right in there. It didn't look like it had any dust spots. I don't know if you guys are noticing this, but we're seeing all kinds of dust coming from GM vehicles. So we actually contemplated that might be from the factory. Now you see a PDR finesse door tool. Don't be afraid to use these door tools in different situations. This thing is going to hook down into that edge. So right down there in the deepest part of the edge of the panel, you can actually drop this door tool and touch it all the way to the bottom of that edge. Phenomenal. So you see there I am going through the back one, but we will go ahead and throw the tool up in here. And still, I'm telling you guys, this thing was cranked in there pretty good because we're just seeing little movement. Just little baby movement. Little baby movement. Yeah, I say that sometimes. Take baby taps. You know, especially if you're working on something that's delicate like a rail or, something that you really can't afford to mess up. I call them little baby taps. Well, that's what this is, little baby pushes. But you basically just got to go in through there and iron that crease out. At some point, that line has got to disappear if you want to move forward in the repair. But that's your objective. I mean, the most prominent area, which is this line through this repair, that thing has got to disappear before we move into our cross-checking. You know, in fact, this is the only angle that you're going to be able to see that line properly to iron it out. And essentially, I got to take my tool and drop it right in that little low and push a little high or push it flush and tap it down, just like I did right here. And you have to rinse and repeat this process all the way through. All right, so back in, doing some pushes, speed that up a little bit. There we go, getting some real nice pushing right there. You can see how I'm going right after and attacking that line. Yeah, there's no reason to work around it, until we start getting that line ironed out pretty good. All the way through. Did a little readjustment there. Coming out really, really nice. So there we are going through. That's some of where we did the initial crown work. If you remember at the beginning of the tutorial, we did a little bit of crown work, and there were some little lows that appeared. We got to go in there and take our tool and push up each one of them little lows. So now you can see that I'm actually working my way towards the, we're on the front side of the body line now. Actually, well, if you looked at this car, this would technically be the back side of the body line, but just working our way through again, ironing out this crease. I always want to try to get as many nice angles that I can possibly give to you in a tutorial like this. So essentially, if you're at this level and you're working advanced dents like this, you know what this is about. Basically, this is a tiny, tiny crease now, and you repair it just like a little tiny crease. So there we go, doing some stand-up, and the point that I wanted to give you guys there, you're going to be at all different types of angles. This is the next day, by the way, so notice the shirt change. So here I am at a seated level. So I'm actually sitting on a chair right now with my head looking down through it, and not only am I switching tools, I'm tapping as well. But you're going to find yourself, when you do a repair like this, you're going to be switching from one elevation to the next. And I'm going to show you guys what I mean by that. So you're even going to get to the point where you may put yourself in an awkward positioning. And this right here is the position that I'm talking about. So right now I'm actually looking through it and I'm tapping from this specific angle, but I'm also going to go in and do a little tool work from this angle. So see, my hand's way down there, my head's up there, but this might be the angle that I needed to do that. And now, here you guys go. This right here is one of my favorite angles for creases like this. I mean, this literally gets you behind the dent. So I am looking up from the ground and sliding underneath here on this creeper. Get yourself a creeper too. I mean, it's definitely worth it to have one of these so you're not laying on the floor and you can kind of slide back and forth, rather than moving your head back and forth or trying to drag your body around on the ground. So you can see here that I'm doing knockdown work from this point as well. This is a critical angle. I want to say that was probably the most critical angle that I could have used to finish this repair. So now here we go. That's the back side of that gas cap, and luckily we can fit a whale tail in there. And you can see how I have it open. I have my light up there above, to where I can actually see through the crease that's running through the little gas cap there. And I'm going to take this whale tail and slide it back here, and I'm going to twist with my hand to work the rest of that little crease out. Now this is kind of tough believe it or not, guys, I'm actually holding the camera while I'm doing the push work. I literally couldn't believe how steady that it stayed during this time. So this must have been one of my rare moments I could hold a camera very, very steady. But so you can see here that I'm just taking it and twisting it. Ideally, though, I'm going to show you guys, I'm going to have a different camera angle kick in right here. And it's even better if you can hold that panel. You see how I'm bracing it with my hand while I'm doing the pushing? It's just like not only are you pushing and torquing with your hand, but you can also kind of twist back at the dent, kind of causing a dual twisting action that just gives you a little bit better push. Kind of like you're rinsing out a towel. You got two hands right there and you're rinsing it. And, you're just using both hands to kind of apply pressure together. So here you go. Now you can see the knockdown work, which is a little bit painful, but it actually works. You can see right here I was able to take a run through that and worked out really well. Now, again, just like anything else, you got to do your cross-checking. Got to do your due diligence. So literally, I'm trying to find little bitty dots that are left behind in this repair and just push them out from this reflective angle. Now, you're never exempt from jumping back down on the ground and looking up at it again. Just to tell you that, I mean, you really got to look around this thing and figure out what the best angle to finish is. A lot of times it's the angle that you start. So I started looking up at it, laying on the ground. Usually that would be my finishing angle. So you can see here, guys, looking through this thing, and I'm just checking it over. Where are we at? This thing still has a little scuff in it. And I'm going to wet sand on this thing. I'm going to try to wet sand this scratch out, and in the process, it is going to help out my finished repair tremendously. But one of the things looking across this damage is that I actually can see a little bitty low that's up there. I'm going to see if I'll get to the frame. A little bitty low that's up there above that body line. So that's one of the things that I'm going to go ahead and go in and hit that after we do a little bit of wet sanding. So I'm going to get this thing defined. I'm going to sand out this little scratch, and I'm going to use this Milwaukee buffer, which you guys know I've labored with a towel to buff a lot of things out, a microfiber a towel. I'll tell you, this Milwaukee buffer is awesome. Little miniature buffer. It really doesn't, I mean, if you can control the splatter. So that right there is what I'm looking at, okay? Right there above there is the little low that I was talking about. And I'm going to go in and do a pull right there. And I'm going to use that wicked little miniature crease tab that we used earlier. And bam, look at that. You're getting some movement, So right here's another example. Hey, at the end of a repair, if a glue pulling is what it takes, if you need to move, if you need something that moves that amount of metal, use it. Use whatever you can towards your advantage to save time and do all that heavy lifting for you. So you can see here, I'm not exempt from cross-checking after a wet sand. In fact, that is the best time to do your finishing work. It literally just cleans the area up to the point to where you can really, as you can see here, I mean, I've got very few little bitty dots and little bitty lows. But essentially, my goal is to take my tool and put it in the middle of any of them little lows, the ones that are the most prominent, and push them up. That's all finishing is finding them little lows and pushing them up. So you can see here, no holes were drilled in this repair. So no holes were drilled underneath this wheel well, which is really cool. All the access was done from up underneath there. And just take a little look here in the natural reflection. I'm going to talk about some of the things that that we learned here. You know, number one, you can see no holes drilled here either. You can, even if you did drill a hole right there in that edge, you see them weld points, barely can get in there. And like if you use that hole up above that I pointed to, you can barely get in there. So you can see, guys, definitely came out really well. I was very happy with this. And this person was one of them very picky people. Although I told her, I was like, you know, I cannot guarantee for this thing to be perfect. When she came and looked at it, she definitely felt that it was quite perfect. So I know that it's not absolutely flawless, but, you know, I think that is a very misused word in this industry. Because in my opinion, if it's flawless in the customer's eyes, if another dent guy can look at it, what it was before and look at what it is after and say, wow, you know, then you know you did your job. So that's what's up. In fact, I'm going to even say, you know, you did your job when the customer looks at it and says, wow. I mean, that's key. Don't ever forget the person that's paying you. That's the person that you're in service to. And you're not in service to all of us other dent guys. You're in service to one person. That's your customer. Focus on that, and you'll be successful. As you can see here, just looking through it, guys, all finished up. Some of the things we learned. Gas cap, you know, learned how to fix some gas cap. Learned a new access point. Learned a little bit about these quarter panels. Learned about creases. Learned about body lines. Learned some cool glue pulling techniques. So anyhow, I hope you appreciate this tutorial because I sure appreciate you taking the time to watch it. And, you know, as always, I will look forward to seeing you on the next one.